It Happened on the Job, the podcast for relatable conversations with contractors. Sponsored by Goodman Insurance.
Welcome to It Happened on the Job. My name is Mike. That's Brian.
Yo!
With us today, we got Aaron Gianni, the president of Larratt Bros Plumbing. I always want to say brothers. There? Yeah, I almost said brothers and I had to stop myself. Larratt Bros Plumbing. How you doing, Aaron?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Good, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time. Hope you had a safe and happy New Year.
We did.
Good.
It was good. It was different. I'm sure we did that for everybody, though, right? So.
Yeah, a little different this year. So give us the story. Tell us about you. How did you get started in this industry, and what led you to where you are now?
Sure. I grew up here in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. Long line of small family business owners, handy people for sure. Always creative artists, woodworkers. My family was established in San Francisco. They moved here. The Norwegian part of it moved here in turn of the century, 1900s. And my great-grandfather owned a little donut shop. It's semi-famous in the neighborhood where my office is now. It's called the Silver Crest.
You guys, does the family still own it?
No, they've since sold it, but it's kind of a staple for that neighborhood. My uncle or my grandfather ran the business for a little while and then turned it into a restaurant supply business nearby, and then later turned it into a garbage business. So wide variety of different things going on, but all in the Hunters Point neighborhood of San Francisco, which currently is a developing, or gentrified, as some of them will say, neighborhood that's happening there. San Francisco, sidebar, San Francisco actually does a really good job of inclusion in that neighborhood with all the construction that's going on. So my uncle ran that, my grandmother and my uncle ran that business after my grandfather died, the garbage and debris box company, till mid-90s. And my uncle spun it off to create a company called Bender Board. It was later bought out in 2007 by some conglomerate, but it's the plastic wood that goes around almost everybody's lawn now, that brown plastic wood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he started that. We all thought he was just a crazy hippie. He said he was going to melt down 2-liter bottles, crunch them up. I used to work there in the summertime when I was out of school, and we were putting together the factory. And I go, "Where's the instructions?" Because he's yelling at me, and we're bolting pieces of equipment together. I go, "Show me the plan." He goes, "Kid, there's no plan. We're doing this on the fly. Nobody makes this stuff." So his only competitor at the time was Trex, and they weren't even making a Bender board product. They were just making decking. He later expanded into decking product that did pretty well. Bella board or Bella wood or something. I can't remember the name of it. But he since sold that, and me personally, I was raised by a single mom, although my mom didn't have any family business other than grandma's, but she wasn't involved. She was a draftsman in San Francisco, and later became a teacher when I was a kid, so she could spend more time with us. So I grew up with a single mom and just trying to make ends meet. And I thought I was around all these great people like my uncle and my grandmother. I thought I was going to be the one who went to college. None of these people went to college, right? They're all successful. And I thought I was going to be the one who went to college. I wanted to be a product designer, design like a better stapler. Owner brings me a product, says I need this stapler to be better, and I was going to be the guy who redesigned it. I later found out that you really just did a lot of box designing, how things fit better in a box, and I was bored quickly. So I felt a little defeated. Tetris, huh? Sure, yeah, and at that time, and that was 99 when I graduated high school. All my friends went to college somewhere, right? I kind of felt defeated when I ended up in construction. I happened to have a family friend who owned a plumbing company, and I went to work for them, W.L. Hickey Sons, based out of Sunnyvale. 4th generation ownership. They've been around since 1904 or something. And he was the 3rd owner. And he hired me as an apprentice in 2000. I started at a local 467 union shop in here in San Mateo County. And that was the beginning of it. I worked for them for almost 10 years and worked my way up, general foreman, ran some pretty big jobs in the Bay Area, multifamily stuff. It was time for me to do my own thing. And I wanted to do that type of work on my own. I thought I saw a different or a better way to do it. I always wanted to be able to treat my employees like my family has. They're always really good to everybody that's associated with the family business. And I didn't feel like that was happening for me. So I wanted to be able to provide that for my employees, and went out on my own, kind of just putzed around. I live on the coast here, Half Moon Bay. Putzed around for a year, made ends meet, and the union called me up and said that Rob and Steve Larratt, who original owners of Larratt Brothers Plumbing, were looking for an exit strategy. It might be a good fit. When you're a union shop, you have to close your business in order to collect your pension, so that you're no longer competition.
Right.
So there's this little game that owners play where they continue to work for 3 years as kind of an estimator, and they get a little buyout. And we worked out a pretty sweet deal, and it's been really good. So Larratt Brothers was a little small mom and pop shop doing about $1.5 million a year, small TI projects in San Francisco. And ever since 2015, we've doubled the revenue every year since then. It's getting hard. The number gets bigger. You can't double from 15 to 30, right? So,
well, I mean, you can, but it takes a lot. Right? Yeah.
So when about 3 years ago, I expanded the service department that we had. We were mostly focused on commercial remodel and some new construction. I expanded the service department to be a true service department, dedicated service manager, an assistant, and 3 or 4 service techs out there changing faucets, snaking drains, and really found that was keeping the lights on instead of waiting for 90-day payments from some
right.
And helped cash flow, which was really good. And while doing that, I realized we were doing a lot of video calls with these customers. Particularly, there was this lady, Nancy, Palo Alto, geographically not very far from San Francisco, probably maybe 20 miles, 25 miles, something like that. She called on a Friday afternoon, though, at 4 o'clock, and didn't care what it cost, wanted me to come down and fix her faucet. All the guys were gone. It's going to be overtime. I don't want to drive to Palo Alto. It's going to be an hour and a half trip down there at least, just to put her faucet back together. She had taken out the little side sprayer that comes out, thinking she could clean it. Couldn't get it back together. Had a big party the next day and was freaking out. And I walked her through on video how to put it back together. And she was so grateful, she wanted to send me money. And I'm like, well, how much would you pay for that? Right? And she goes, I'd pay $150, right? So there's something here.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Where we can teach people how to fix things, save them a little money, things that they're going to try and fix on their own anyways, maybe, or go to YouTube. And that was the birth of Plunjr, my little side business that I'm working on. So we've been working on that for 3 years now, having no idea COVID was going to hit last January. We launched it last January, 2020. And it's definitely been a good little push with everybody being at home and some people not wanting contractors. So
yeah, that's very serendipitous, huh? Or what I would say, opportunistic, or timing, whatever that big word is. I mean, that
it was good timing.
That timing works out. Yeah.
At the time, we couldn't find a competitor. The idea didn't exist. Virtual plumbing services.
Well, it's almost like telemedicine, right? I mean, it's that concept, but taking it to the contractor level for some of those little things.
Same idea. And as it started to grow, I was worried, obviously, about the union impact, since we're a union shop, right?
Right.
We're breaking down conditions and stealing work. And plumbers just feeling like we're stealing work from them, that we're starting a call center. So we really focused on designing the product around.
But let me stop you for a second, though.
Yeah.
Are you actually concerned, though? Because as a capitalist and as a business owner, right? Like, all you're doing, you're just taking. I mean, in theory, I mean, if you had enough manpower and enough ability to to have service techs all over the country, you would, and you would service every single house in the country if you could. So, I mean, were you actually concerned, or was it just something that you wanted to make sure that was
the easiest path was to keep the union happy, find some happy median. If I needed to expand this thing across the country, right, was the hope that if I kept it union and all of a sudden I need union contractors in New York, I walk into local one and I say, hey, this is the union product. We only push union stuff, right? Use us.
right?
That being said, Andrew, my business partner, and I said, hey, if Home Depot or Roto-Rooter walks in here with $30 million, we're out.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So there definitely is a capitalist idea behind it. I mean, that's why I'm
for sure.
business.
Yeah.
But I would say that back to I care about my employees. I care about the people we're servicing. I really look for a good deal in a contract, a good deal for the employee, a good deal for the customer. That's how we've set up the model of Plunjr. Back to the competitors, like we found we had a couple competitors when COVID hit, right? They came out of the woodworks with us.
Yeah.
They didn't know about us. We didn't know about them. And after looking at their models, they are tech trying to do construction. I think we're the only one doing construction trying to do tech. Some of that has been some hurdles for me.
I was going to say learning curves on both sides.
Oh yeah, right. But as you guys know, and our listeners know, that the construction guys are pretty tight, well knit, and we trust our own. I've found that no matter what market I'm talking to, whether it's St. Louis, DC, New York, once they find out I'm a real business owner, and they let me at least explain my pitch, and then once they hear it, they're like, yeah, I want to buy into that. Right? There's not that immediate. I have it too. Every salesperson that walks through the door is like, well, what's the bottom line? How much is it going to cost me? Well, tell me how many employees you have. Tell me how is this going. Let me show you how this is going to work. I don't want to know any of that. Right? How much is it going to cost?
Yeah.
So we're really quick on our pitch. It's a really sweet deal for all sides, and we make sure that we stay careful about what we teach, where we think the skill level is. You know, P-traps, faucets, toilet repair. We're not teaching people how to repipe their houses or.
I was going to say, yeah, there's definitely a line, one from a liability standpoint, right? That you probably have to be concerned about. And also two, like teaching yourself how to work. I mean, if you teach a whole country how to repipe a house, like
it's funny. I actually keep a little bucket of tools behind my desk because some people don't even know how to use a wrench.
Right.
But they want to learn how to like fix this P-trap and I got to show them like on that. Grab them like this and they're adjustable, and so some of it's fun. Some of it's fun for me. I like engaging with the customers. The service department, it's not a ton of money. Like when construction's good and new construction's good, you can't beat it. Right now, in the last year, there was a little dip and some bumps in there, and the service department has helped us through that, and I enjoy that interaction. So
from the customer standpoint. And maybe this is just the mindset of the customer that you're dealing with, right? Like personally, I would probably just go to YouTube where it's free, right? And find somebody who could show me how to do that. Whereas you are charging somebody to be on the phone with them, which I understand, and there's obviously value there. How do you guys differentiate that? Is that just the difference in the consumer, or is that something you guys are actually pushing to educate the consumer on?
So what you'd find if you actually wanted to go fix your Kohler toilet, you'd go on YouTube and you'd type in fix Kohler toilet, and you'd find that there is at least 100 different toilets.
Models, yeah.
And inside that tank, there's at least 3 different models of the inside of the tank.
Yeah.
One has a flapper, one has this big
the ball plug
cartridge thing, and it lifts up, and then there's another one that has this like clip-in deal that they only made for a couple of years. So not only are you spending time trying to find that, maybe you don't find that one. We become the expert eyes to reassure you that you can do the project and go, oh, that's one that they made between 2007 and 2010.
Right.
That's XYZ product. Not only do we help them, we ship the products right to their house and bill them right there.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. So if you guys need parts or whatever, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. So I mean, from a consumer standpoint, then it's just really the comfort knowing that you have an expert who has seen it before and knows exactly what they're talking about. Yeah. And you're saving that time, the efficiency standpoint too.
Yep.
That's cool.
Lots of toilet calls, lots of things that people don't want to pay a plumber for. They don't want to pay a plumber $300 to come out and explain what the noise is in the wall.
Right.
But they'll pay me $45, right, to walk them through water hammering situations, what they can do to fix a water hammer. You can buy these little water hammer arresters on Home Depot for your laundry, and simple fixes like that.
That's cool. That's an awesome idea, man. Yeah. I love it. If we go back a little bit to
Sure.
Kind of as you were growing, and I think you said that you saw the opportunity in the service side to kind of be that constant influx of revenue income and kind of creating stability for you. I guess my question is, how do you? Well, so from a construction standpoint, right? If I'm a general contractor and I see that you are a service plumbing contractor, probably not too confident that you're going to be able to, replumb and do this job for this multifamily house. But on the flip side, if I'm a homeowner, I don't want to call the guy that's doing the Marriott down the street with 350 rooms to come change my faucet, right? There's a balance there. So how do you guys differentiate the two and maybe market the two so that you can kind of show expertise in both?
The service shop runs almost completely on its own, separate business, almost in the same house under the same accounting
same name and everything, though.
But same name, but
yeah.
They really operate totally separate. And for that, the homeowners homeowners mostly come to our website.
Right.
All the big Webcore and these guys, they don't come to our website to check us out. They've either heard about us, or we've pre-qualified with them, or we've done work with them in the past, or somebody I have working for me has done. So that part works on word of mouth and our good name. We're a pretty small shop. I think it's small from where I came from. At Hickey, we had like 300 employees at times. We're 33 plumbers and 6 office staff, and we managed to do 15 million a year.
Wow.
We can bond up to 20 million on certain jobs. And the 6 people that I have in the office have been kind of handpicked from throughout my career. I've stolen from other places. Most recently, my director of operations, I stole from McClenahan here in It was Hickey's direct competitor. He had worked there for 20 some odd years, and he saw the opportunity in what I was doing, and thought it'd be a good fit. So it's he's really been a good addition for me. It's made my life easier at the office for sure. Yeah. There's somebody else who thinks like me, who's from the field, who's had his hands on plumbing for the last 20 years. He's got CAD experience in 3D and all that good stuff. So he's been a good addition.
Yeah. So on that, what do you find your day-to-day role to be? Like where is it kind of progressed to now?
I try to be on the front end. We talked earlier, I was doing contract negotiation. I actually enjoy that part. It's part of the customer part.
Yeah.
The nerdy side of me actually likes reading contracts. A lot of it's just boilerplate, but in every contract, you'll find one clause that you're like, oh, that guy got screwed. That's why this is here. Right. And so those are the fun ones to me. And then that becomes like an icebreaker for me. I'm like, hey, what's going on with section D number 2?
Tell me what happened here. Yeah.
Tell me the story about how you got screwed on this, right? And they always have it. So I like that part a lot, the relationship building. I'm involved with the service department a lot right now. In the last couple months, we're in transition. My old service manager decided he wanted to be a plumber. So in the spirit of what we do, we try to foster the relationship. If better people's lives, better the guy's life. If this is what you want to do, let's make a plan for that. And it's been in action for the last 6 months. So I've been working with the new service manager a lot, trying to grow that a little more, focus on some of the larger service contracts we have and the relationships that we have with those. So I enjoy that part.
That's awesome.
What was
lately more my role?
Yeah. What was that transition, or where in the journey was the transition from what you're doing now more today than being out in the field and actually doing the field work? Like where was that breaking point when you said, I can't do this anymore?
I still do. Unfortunately, I still do.
You're
I
a true
can't help
hunter.
myself.
Yeah.
Like if I roll up and the guys got the shovels out and they need help, I dig, right? There's when you ask me how you introduce me, right? I don't introduce myself as president most times. When I bought Larratt Brothers, I didn't change the name. I'm not that vain. So if the work needs to get done, it gets done. Yeah. So I have to stop myself from being out there as much because I need to be in the office. I need to be talking, reading contracts and stuff like that. But I think that's a hard move for a lot of contractors that own small businesses, especially as it's growing. When I first took over for Larratt Brothers, we're only $1.5 million, and I was out there doing TI work.
Well, you kind of have to, right? Like you have to do all the things. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at the bottom line. I'm like, how do we even afford this? How do I buy these guys out? And right. So I didn't spend a lot of time in the office the first couple of years. And then now we're to a point where we've got a better operation and guys like Doug, director of ops, that I trust, that I can, trust with the office stuff.
Well, yeah, you definitely go from a point where shit, I have to be out in the field and I have to do all these things because I can't afford anybody else and I have to do that too. Well, now I have to get out of the way because if I don't, all I'm doing is slowing down the progression of this thing. And you know what I mean? I have to bring in other people that I can trust. So it's there's definitely a transition period. And I think, to recognize that and to be able to move through that transition period is what helps a lot of guys like you grow. Right. I mean, if you felt like you had to have your hand in everything and still be out in the field all the time, you wouldn't be doing 15 million right now. You'd probably, be stuck at 4 or 5.
Sure. And I think we're in an interesting time where I'm 39 years old. There's not a lot of 39-year-olds, or even in my age group, 5 years behind me or 5 years ahead of me, that are doing what I'm doing or want to be in construction. Now they want to be in construction because they see the money that we're making, right?
Right.
But like I said, started with high school. I was embarrassed that I ended up here when all my friends were going into biotech. It's a thing that we pushed for a long time. I'm sure you guys have talked about it on other parts of your show where construction and blue collar jobs are coming back, that you don't need college and you can still make a good living for yourself, sometimes better.
Yeah. So, I mean, not to toot our own horn, but that's kind of what we're doing here, right? It's kind of the impetus of doing this. I mean, it's that different generation. This is kind of how they ingest knowledge and media, right? And now we're bringing them stuff, and guys like you who've done this and bringing it to them the way that they ingest it, and it's hopefully helping.
Yeah.
I'd like to think it is.
I think that in the next 10 years, in 10 years from now, I'll be the guy just still doing the old school way. I was brought up that way just in family and stuff, but there's a whole new generation that's coming in that's way smarter than me, right? I don't have a lot of competition, I think is what I'm getting at right now. There's not a lot of guys in my realm. The guys older than me are getting ready to retire.
Right.
The 55 plus, there's a whole bunch of baby boomers like Rob and Steve that I bought the company from that just want out now. They're like COVID and all the rest of this. I hear it all the day-to-day basis from these guys. A lot of $5 to $10 million companies that are just going to go away. And there'll be a vacuum for a while, and then capitalism will take over. And all these really smart kids that are getting in right now, I'll probably be wiped out in 10 years. So, hence Plunjr. That's my exit strategy.
Right.
I need to grow Plunjr and then live in Costa Rica the rest of my life.
So are 100% of your employees, are they union, even on the service side?
Yeah. Yep. The only non-union plumbers, or the only non-union employees, are the office staff.
The office staff. Yeah. So how much control do you have? I would assume that being around as long as you have, and the name probably not changing it probably helps in that union aspect, as far as, getting and keeping guys through the hall.
There's the by the book rule, right? You got to call from off the books and in order. Right. But then there's a whole second relationship that goes on there, right? Where we know both these unions, Local 38 in San Francisco, 467 in San Mateo, are fairly small. Even amongst the 33 guys I know, we know every single one of them. So you call them and go, hey, you know Mike? Yeah, I know Mike. We're not taking Mike, right? And we find some reason not to take Mike. There's some my family, all my family's businesses never were union. In fact, the garbage company in San Francisco, when my grandfather died, my grandmother continued running it in the 70s. So she was a woman and running a garbage business that was non-union in San Francisco. It was like unheard of.
Yeah.
And the unions would come to her office and bang on her door and say, you got to unionize. And she says, okay, take all their 401k and everything, all the medical that I'm giving them. Because at that time, those unions weren't providing that.
Right.
So she was doing more and paying more at that time. That being said, like I'm the only union guy in the family. So I understand why we bash on them sometimes, but there's some good things about the union too. I mean, the union has some good intentions, providing a livable wage. And particularly last year, we had this huge contract that I literally bullshitted my way into. And all of a sudden we had to come up with 60 guys. And we called on the union even at I guess it was 18 months ago, because it was long before COVID. We shut down an entire hotel in San Francisco and gutted it back to the walls, remodeled it in 6 months.
Wow.
And
Jeez.
everybody else, Southland, all these other guys had said, we ain't touching it. It's impossible. And we knew the estimator. I go, yeah, I can do it. He goes, really? Yeah, I'll do it. And I went home and I'm like,
sure.
I don't know how we're gonna do it. And
Fake it till you make it, right?
Yes, I actually lived at the hotel, no shit, for a couple weeks when we were in the height of it. I took a room down below, and I was there nonstop, helping running the business and manage it from there. But that job, on the employee side, we got all the employees from the union. I called them up and I said, hey, I need 60 guys. You got to find them. That's your part of this.
Right.
I don't care where they come from. I don't care that you have nobody on the books. Then you call 342 and 467 and 393 and figure it out for me. And they did. They weren't all the best, but we got through it. And that single job really changed the face of Larratt Brothers. We went from this mediocre middle guy to this capable business that can compete with the Southlands and McClenaghan's in the area. Now we have all of Hunters Point, which is getting rebuilt, and there's a whole bunch of $5 to $25 million plumbing jobs, and we're all of a sudden mixed in with those guys. So we're hearing from Webcor and all those other guys that wouldn't normally talk to us finally realized that these guys are competitive, they're small, and they act like a family business, and we also get the job done. So we care about how I pitched it to, it was Dinwiddie Hathaway that we did the hotel with. How I pitched it to them is that I have to care about this job. Southland doesn't have to care about it.
Right.
This is just another job for Southland.
They lose that job. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
They don't hit your schedule. They don't care.
Right. Yeah.
I have to hit it. I put my house on the line. I put my shop on the line for the bond. And we did the job. We finished on time and we made some money. So it was a good experience, and it's definitely helped propel us to a new level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially in that commercial space, right? I mean, that's where we talk a lot about, marketing and different techniques and what's been successful. And you find most of the time on that commercial side, it's your reputation, right? That is getting you into a lot of these places or getting you heard about. There's also an aspect of being out there digitally that maybe, they've seen some work or can kind of vet you a little bit before you walk in the door. But I guess on the kind of pivoting on that a little bit to the residential side on the service aspect, are there things you guys are doing? I know you said you guys have a website, but be it social media at all or with any sort of intention from a marketing aspect?
We do some, our website, we do some Instagram, Facebook stuff, very minimal that we spend every week. We have a couple, there's a place called Guy Plumbing in Menlo Park. It's an old fashioned supply warehouse and storefront, sells high-end toilets and stuff. They do a bunch of referrals for us. A lot of next door referrals, really just word of mouth. We don't do a ton of advertising here. I think there's a big need for more plumbers in the Bay Area, and just by that fact, we've survived there. So I keep 3 service guys busy with less than $1,000 a month in advertising.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Is there any sort of you talk about the younger people coming into the industry that might be something that, you know, that might get pushed on you a little bit, or not necessarily pushed on you, but like, hey, we kind of need to do this to stay relevant. Is there any sort of projection towards, you know, bringing in somebody to do that kind of stuff for you from a social media aspect?
Well, we have a guy who works on the plunger side. A lot of times those two businesses get mixed in, even though they're completely separate.
Right.
There's a lot of overflow or flow over from the plunger side. So things that I wouldn't normally have ever looked into. That back to that old contractor.
That old school mentality.
I want to increase your service side by 50%. I don't know how much it's going to cost me. Right? But I've learned that's one thing I could say I learned from tech was the advertising aspect of it. So on that side, Movo out of San Jose does our social media stuff and advertising, and I've talked to him about doing some more Larratt Brothers stuff going forward.
Yeah.
So I see a need. I wanted to make sure the service shop was the transition was good to the new service manager. We've got Brandon, my old service manager, comfortable in a plumbing role, and that I can staff it. I'm always afraid to advertise a little bit and then all of a sudden have work that
an influx.
We can't manage with the same quality, right? We're just we're slapping it together. We have a certain amount of quality that we need to pull up to. So
Yep. So you mentioned that there's a need for more plumbers. Do you know from the union side what they're doing to try and find guys to come and join?
There's been a lot of people signing up over the last couple hundred every year. They still limit it to like 30 new apprentices every year. They see that as the number going out, the number coming in to keep it about the same. That doesn't really help the problem.
Right.
I don't see them as helping to fix the problem. They're way more capitalistic than looking out for the employees. I think at the end of the day, they're looking at making sure they can cover pensions and their costs more than what's going on in the market. So they're missing the boat on it. They won't tell me that plunger is a bad idea and campaign against me, but they also won't tell me it's a good idea. And I'm like, this is how we save the plumbing, the service plumbing industry for the union shops across the country. The Plumbers Union will tell you that they gave up service in the 80s. They started giving it up, and they focused on refineries and government work and new construction, and gave up the service industry, hence Roto-Rooter and Ben Franklin's and all these guys.
Right.
And they recognize that they want a piece of that back. They've started some programs like Plumber 911. Probably never heard of it because they do a really shit job at advertising. They're based out of Fresno, and union only referrals. They don't say it anywhere on their website, and they spend a lot of money trying to set this thing up and the crappy advertising that they do. I've tried to pitch it to them as whatever you're spending on that, spend it on a plunger, right? Because this is the new ad referral for you. We have 100% success rate literally with every customer that I've had since last January 2020.
As far as like being able to solve their problem over the phone?
100%.
Wow, that's awesome.
If I can't actually fix their problem, we've given them a local plumber on a reference from us at the very least, and they feel better about knowing that they couldn't fix it, right? So I haven't had one customer yet that goes, "This is an awful idea. This is stupid. You should close your business." Really the thing we fight most there is just customer awareness, like nobody knows, and getting them to, right now, almost every customer I have goes, "Well, how do I pay for this?" And I fix their problem. And we have a whole rollout coming out in the next 2 or 3 weeks about that involves payment and shipping a product that's integrated into it. So right now it's just a video connection, and we walk them through their problem.
Yeah. What does the expansion for that look like? Are you taking it to other plumbers in different geographical areas and then training them on, are you guys actually doing the training on how to how to work with a customer over the phone like that?
Yeah, it's the same process that they're doing now. Troubleshooting. It takes a little more patience from us to watch them use the wrench.
Well,
wrong.
that's
So it
I would
definitely
almost say that there's a little bit higher level of customer service that has to be kind of trained or acquired to be able to, like you said, patiently work
Walk
with somebody
somebody
over
through
the
it.
phone who
Yeah.
doesn't know what, fumbling around with things. So is that something you just kind of make them aware of and say, hey, you got to do a good job, or because your name's on it? Or is that something you have any sort of like workshops or classrooms to kind of go through with them?
We're not so big that we have a traditional workshop, but it's really a one-on-one with me. I tell them to download the app and hit the button, right? And they call me and they go, wow, that was easy. I go, yeah, that's all you got to tell your customer. It's easy to make a quick connection with them. And then the talking, so they're service plumbers for the most part know how to talk to a customer. So not a lot of training there, but yeah, there is some just how COVID has helped us is that it's taught us social awareness on video.
On video, right.
18 months ago, we were trying to figure out like how we're going to tell people like they got to have a shirt on when they answer the phone, like that kind of stuff. Seriously,
or not have their naked spouse in the shower getting out behind them, yeah.
Right. So we're just more socially aware of that now, right?
Yeah.
Not putting those on camera. My wife laughs because I leave a T-shirt at the end of the bed because right now I'll answer a call if it comes in at 3 a.m. Right.
I'm sure she loves that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So somebody in New York woke up to a water line, going underneath their faucet, and they're calling, and I got to answer. So I'm jumping up, I'm throwing on a shirt, and I go, hey, how you doing? Welcome to Plunjr, right? But that's startup and that's business owner, right? That's startup life.
Yeah.
That's and it's really the emergency service plumber. That's our life. That's they call on Thanksgiving Day. We get up. It's going to cost you $500 for us to come over there, but we get up and we come. So, yeah,
that's awesome. So I mean, I guess are you technically nationwide with the app right now?
We are. I thought I'd see a lot more people using it in San Francisco, LA, and New York, and we've had this huge influx of calls from Middle America. That's where the most.
Well, I mean, I guess if you think about it, in San Francisco to LA, there's 47 different plumbers you can call to be there within 5 minutes, right? Like in the middle of Oklahoma, it's maybe not the case.
And we think that the people here locally just don't want to fix their own stuff. They're happy just to pay for it.
Yeah. Yep, right? That's part of it too. Yeah.
Huge following in St. Louis, huge following in Chicago. That's pretty metropolitan, but a lot of do-it-yourselfers there. So yeah, we'll take calls anywhere.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
What kind of call volume are you getting right now?
20, 30 a day. So,
wow.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, it's decent. We think we can grow it to. We think we flood the market at like 7,500 calls a day. So next year is it. There's a goal to hit 100 calls a day. We have a marketing team that's working on that. We think that's only 2 calls per state, right? Yeah. We're not taking a huge chunk of the market at that, and even at that rate, we'll gross or we'll net $1.5 million out of those calls if at our billing point that we're at. So at 100 calls a day, and I can staff it with just Larratt brothers. That's the beauty of this business. Yeah. I don't have to be in tech trying to do construction. They got to go out and find some plumbers that are willing to do this for them.
Right.
Stand by.
Right.
Yeah, I got 3 guys on standby that if I tell them they're booked all week, sitting in the warehouse answering Plunjr calls.
Yeah, rather than driving around and climbing under sinks and everything else. Yeah, it's not a bad deal.
So we got a goal to hit. The 5-year plan is to get to 7,500 calls. I think that's like the Elon Musk goal.
Yeah,
that's his goals. Like, I mean, so high
there, right?
That his team's like, no, right?
We're out.
Yeah, but 100 calls a day next year, I think, is reasonable. The 20 or 30 we're doing right now. There's been a couple that have come through just during our call that I see. So
that's awesome. Very cool. Well, what does the future look like for Larratt Brothers? What's the growth model and down the road?
I talked to you about the project we did last year, the hotel, and they're right now in San Francisco. They're redoing all of their sewage treatment plants, and there's this huge put. I think it's like $2 billion or $3 billion or something to redo all these things. And they have these certain goals that they have to hit in local neighborhoods. We certainly can't do a sewage treatment plant. We're too small. We can't bond it. We can't facilitate it. We don't know how to put in 60-inch pipe. But San Francisco has deemed that 17% of the work has to be local business. So these bigger contractors like Harris and Monterey have had a hard time trying to fulfill that 17%. They run around and they find all these little 1 and 2 mom and pop shops to put in valves and paint pipe.
Right.
And it's not really productive. They got to manage them. And the intent is to foster growth
Right. Of
for
the
these
industry.
smaller businesses. Yeah. And for these small local businesses, right? Make the money go back into the industry, which then pays the tax dollars to San Francisco, right? All that good shit. They call it LBE, local business enterprise.
Yep.
So part of the reason I moved back to where we're at, not only was it kind of business for or home for family businesses in Hunters Point, was for the LBE market. We are the biggest LBE in that specifically does C36 plumbing in San Francisco, Hunters Point neighborhood. So if the zip code we have 94124 is like a golden ticket for Harris and these guys. They come to us and it's a $100 million portion of the project, and they need to hit 17% over 3 years. We can do that. That's right in our wheelhouse. So we'll come in and say, we'll do the entire 17%. You don't have to deal with anybody else. You don't have to go find an electrician and a painter and try and hit these goals. Right. We'll hit your entire 17%. We're already versed in how to deal with textura and all these other local hire requirements. And not only that, but we foster smaller businesses in our neighborhood, specifically like lately it's been CIW for the last couple of years. Demetrius is a small business based out of Hunters Point, and he's a handful of guys. And he's said, I want help to grow my business and teach me how you're doing the things you're doing. And last year we have a 180 unit apartment complex we're building near the Cow Palace in San Francisco. And we broke off all the fabrication for him. So taught him how to do stacks, taught him how to read riser diagrams, that kind of stuff. And that was his little package. Completely, separate of our work. Right. Made a legit contract for him and set him up so he learned the process of how to work with NIBI, the general.
That's an awesome. That's cool, man.
So that part of that whole LBE thing, that's part of it, is knowing people in the neighborhood, bringing them in,
piece it out for them.
Yeah. We just say, look, we're going to do the whole 17%. So the direction of Larratt Brothers in the next 3 years, we're trying to hit a lot of these sewage treatment plant stuff. It's public money, so it's pretty safe.
Yep.
It's safe work coming up. We expect a bunch of the commercial work and private work to fire up again here in the next 6 to 10 months.
Yep.
Everybody kind of ran for the hills.
Hunkered down for a little bit.
We were really lucky because we're diverse. We do everything from snaking a drain to installing a kitchen sink, lab work, to apartment buildings. Some of the bigger guys, they had $50 million just disappear.
And one vertical, it's gone.
Right. Yep. And they don't have a service department. So we see some growth with the public works sector. There's $10 billion worth of work going on at Hunters Point over the next 10 years in private money. And that involves, they force that stuff to be part of LBE too. Certain percentage of it, smaller, 12 or 10%, but we expect to be part of more of that. So we expect some more growth. No doubling. Revenue.
Right. Yeah. Not from 15 to 30, huh?
No, it was, we're continuing to move, but
that's the right direction. Though.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's something you gotta really calculate and be ready for to go from 15 to 30.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even from what, seven or 8 to 15 is quite a jump, but that's,
and it wasn't quite double last time. It was probably,
I don't even know that you want to go from 15 to 30. There's a lot of headaches involved there.
Quickly,
that quickly.
We found a nice little sweet spot. We really have a problem saying no. right?
Yeah.
When the right jobs show up, we just say yes, and then we figure it out.
Figure it out.
Like that hotel job.
Yep.
But being in that 15 to 20 is really nice little sweet spot. I like having the 6 people I got. They're all hard workers.
Yep.
You know, the payroll for union guys is ridiculous. So
Yep.
the monthly union check that I have to write is tearful. In fact, when I first took over for Larratt, the first check that came in, the office girl had it up on the counter, and I looked and I went, "Oh, is that a quarterly check?" And she goes, "No, that's the monthly check." And I almost threw up. I was like, "Wow, we got lots of money coming in." Well, here it all goes. Right?
Yeah, we're gonna be rich. Slow down. We got to turn on a Reddit check for 90% of that back. Yeah,
it's a couple $100,000 a month, and the family business side of me goes, "What am I getting for that?" Right? But we have opportunities with jobs that we normally wouldn't, like the public works and sewage treatment plants.
Yeah.
You know, that's all PLA work, prevailing wage, and
Yep.
so it works out.
Very cool, man. Well, we'll let you run and answer some more phone calls and take care of some people all over the country, and appreciate your time, man. It's been awesome. But before we let you go, I want to give you a shot to plug all your
let the people know where to find you.
How do they find you? Websites, phone numbers, apps, whatever it is.
Yeah, www.larrattbros.com. It's LARRATTBROS.com, and Plunjr with a J, because if you spell it right, you're not tech, right? So PLUN, it's PLUNJR.
And no E even. All right, good.
No E. Wait, quick
Very
little,
hip.
quick little note on that. We didn't know what to call it, so we ran a contest in the office. We have a big whiteboard, and I said, everybody write your ideas up there for the week. I'm going to pay $100 at the end of the week for the best one. They said, what are we going to do? Are we going to vote on it? We're going to go, no, I'm just going to write it, walk in like a benevolent dictator. I'm going to circle the one I want, put it on $100, and that's it. And that's exactly what happened. My service manager, Brandon, actually came up with Plunjr, PLUNJR, and it's stuck. It's good.
How old is Brandon?
He's early 30s.
Okay, that about fits.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Seems like the
he's grown up in that generation of being aware and figuring
awesome,
that out.
man.
That's cool.
So well, again, check us out, Plunjr. Let us help you fix your stuff at your house. So
that's awesome. Well, we appreciate it, man. We'll make sure we tag everything and when we post this, and we'll see you on the flip side. Stay safe out there.
Cool. Yeah,
keep in touch. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah,
have a good
thanks,
one.
Aaron.
I'll see you.
Bye. Hey, thanks for listening. And if you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.